Good morning and welcome back to the Nygren Celtic Fans View this morning. Big news last night that will really excite the Celtic fans. And you're going to say, it's only 1.7 million, but it's a cracking deal as far as I am concerned. The player Benji did have 6 months left on his contract, which for me makes it a fantastic piece of business. Because a lot of clubs could have came in for him this summer. The fact that Celtic have managed to get the deal done in June is fantastic for Celtic. And he is a winger that can play on the left, he can play on the right, and he can also play through the middle as a striker. So he does have that flexibility to play along the front line, what Brendan Rodgers has been looking for. So that when, obviously, Jota comes back, he can maybe switch over sides to the other side and allow Jota to play on his natural side, and it keeps yes, it does keep Dyson Maeda through the middle. It's been suggested yesterday that Dyson Maeda has looked for some assurances that he will be played as the main striker at Celtic. We all know that Dyson plays for his national team as the main striker, and he is now looking for assurances going into the World Cup here that he will be the main striker at Celtic. Gus is in this morning. I love it when it comes flashing up on the chat. He's been a member for 5 months. Thank you for your ongoing support, Gus. But yeah, the late news last night was broken by Anthony Joseph of Sky News. Update: Celtic have agreed a deal of 1.7 million to sign the attacker Benji. Sky Sports revealed a couple of weeks ago that the 23-year-old verbally agreed terms with Celtic and that talks with the club were progressing well. Obviously the talks were going in such a manner that Celtic would be looking to get the best deal possible and guarantee that they got the player. The fact that he only had 6 months left on his contract is, you've got to say, he could have waited until December. His contract did run out in December, and it looks like Celtic jumped the gun in getting that player rather than allowing him to talk to whoever they wanted and do a Greg Taylor and walk away for absolutely free to another club. Celtic did dump the gun and get in there. Anyway, in other Celtic news, you'll see along the ticker on the bottom, there was a young player. A new player could. I need to sort that. Today. There we go. Typing too fast in the morning. There's a young player that Celtic have been tracking, and it's been suggested that he will not, shock horror, he will not go into the B team. There has been talk of this young player coming in from Morton, wasn't it? Where did it come from? Yeah, it says the young boy English that is looking. They're not looking to slot him into the B team. They're going to put him out on loan, they're suggesting, and that could be the next step for the youth player that Celtic have just took on. So yeah, it's interesting. So lots and lots of Celtic news coming around. Will Celtic also announced this week that Bilwishka is a Celtic player, and it looks like a complete change in the front line. Will it just be a matter of time before Nico Kuhn is announced that he will be leaving? Will Celtic announce that before we play Newcastle? Obviously, when you look at the schedule that Celtic do have coming up, Newcastle were a team that were interested in Nico Kuhn before, well, even going back as far as the winter transfer window. Even going as far back as that. Now, if Nico Kuhn leaves, well, we're all needing a player, a winger, for the fact that Jota's out injured. And let's face it, Yang isn't the answer, is he? At best, Yang's a backup player, which left us short because Dyson Maeda looking for assurances that he will be the main striker to stay. Will he extend his stay at Celtic when he gets those guarantees? Will he sign a new deal? The noises coming out now are suggesting yes, that he will. But he does want to play at the top level. The fact that, I'm going to say it, Tottenham, although Tottenham have just sacked their manager that could have taken, the one person that could have taken Daisen Maeda away from Celtic, let's be said, and let's be honest about it, is more than likely Ange Postecoglou. And the fact that he's been sacked from the team that got automatic qualification into the Champions League has maybe made Daisen look at things and go, do you know what, we can get into the Champions League with Celtic. He has said to his media that he wants to try and improve next season again. He is, 27, 28 year old. He is coming into the most important part of his career, and it could be the fact that Celtic could get him to sign this new deal and allowing him to leave after the next bit of news. I'm just going to get my cortado, small coffee. So that's the big news. Big news this morning is that the deal is done for the Swedish winger, and we've done not bad with Swedish players over the years, has to be said. And one of my favourite Swedish players is Johan Malby. We've got to say it. Who was your favourite? I mean, Henrik. Henrik was the king of kings, and Henrik was a fantastic player. When you look at other players that have came through the system, that have came through Celtic, and been fantastic players. Absolutely fantastic players in their own right. What player would you... I mean, Mikael Lustig's up there as well. Because Mikael Lustig, when he came to Celtic, people didn't fancy Mikael Lustig. People didn't rate him at all. People said that he was too injury prone. People in Europe were saying, Lustig's crap, mate. You know, and even when he came in and he had his long hair, remember, trying to be a Larsson impersonator, playing in the wing-back area. And he was unfancied, and even Bruni said, who's this wee skinny runt? Do you know what I mean? But he grew on the Celtic fan base. Johan Malby, do you know, Johan is just Johan, wasn't he? A big, powerful, commanding defender at the back line of Celtic. It was in there with Bobo Balde for so much of his career. And then Henrik Larsson, it's just the king of kings. Another fantastic Swedish player that we've had. But more recently, for me, Mikael Lustig, it was banter central. You know, he was Bruni's right hand man. He turned into a player, and I think he's the player that left Celtic one season too early. I honestly think that he was a player that left Celtic one season too early. Now, the fact that we've got young Benji in at a good age, and you know, the fact that we've got him in at a good age, this could be it again. I mean, he was valued at £6 million. Just a couple. Why is transfer market down again? He was valued at £6 million just over a year ago. But obviously the fact that he is going into the final part of his contract is absolutely fantastic news for Celtic. So with that being said, two bits of good news yesterday. Young player at Celtic Park finalising his deal, and then ultimately getting told that you're not going to be in the B team. It looks like you're going to go out on loan, son, because we don't really fucking fancy the B team, and we can't keep a hold of players in the B team. Let's be honest. But anyway, fantastic news this morning that we are starting to get some more bodies in the door. Because let's face it, we do need them in the door to bolster the squad ahead. There's other publications now coming out the fact that the Morton teenager was at Celtic Park and Lennoxtown yesterday. I don't know anything about the young lad, so I mean, at 17-year-old, we do need players to come in through the youth system. At 17-year-old, is he good enough to? Hopefully, Celtic don't put him straight into the B team, because I think that could be the end of his career. Anyone that we've brought in and that has been one for the future, do you know? I think over the years we've had some crazy headlines at Celtic. Brought in a couple of guys for Sheffield Wednesday, remember, a few years back, and they never made it. And I think that the B team is cursed. So let's hope that it's true that Celtic do put him out on loan to get some first team football. Because I'm not too sure. I'm just not sure about the B team. It just seems to be cursed. It just seems to be cursed that people can come into the B team and just not fancy. Their agents are saying, look, you're not going to get into we can get you more money. And this guy's coming from Morton. A lot of the younger guys that have left the B team have came up through the system at Celtic. I don't know who this guy's agent is. So yeah, John shoulders as wide as the Clydes. Him, Baldy, Big Valharn, defensive combo, size-wise. Next week our players should be back in training. Yep, and hopefully our shoe sounds by then. Yeah, well, it's looking like. When was the last time that One for the Future worked out, Baz? David, that's what I'm saying. I think that the B team is cursed. Hopefully Celtic, hopefully the speculation that is out there, hopefully the speculation is true, that Celtic go, do you know what, we're not putting you anywhere near that. Hopefully Brendan's sat down and went, I don't fucking know what's going on. Hopefully him and Johnny Kennedy's went, do you know what, there's 4 players that are coming through the system right now that Celtic rate, that Celtic say they have a good chance of breaking into the team. But other than that, there's just the quality isn't there. I mean, Brendan Rodgers said the quality isn't there. When you look at it, Dane Murray is one that can come through. Mitchell Frame could still come through, but Dane Murray is one that Brendan Rodgers is really interested in, is taking the step up to the first team. Celtic B team will say, look, Sean McArdle made the step up last year. Yes, he has. Will he go out on loan? Now, the problem with the younger players going out on loan is they're getting sent to Admiral Wacker, and that hasn't worked out. Celtic have to re-look that and re-evaluate where their players are going out on loan. For me, any young players that are coming through the system, Sean McArdle, Francis Turley, Jude Bonner, they need to go either Neil Lennon or Scott Brown. They need to go to 2 fantastic Celtic legends that can get the best out of these players, that can prepare these players for coming back to Celtic. Not only coming back to Celtic, but for stating that place in the first team, so that when they come back, they're coming back with their shoulders out and they're like, I'm a Celtic player. Do you know, I've been on loan, but I'm a Celtic player. Come back with that little bit of arrogance and that little bit of confidence. That brimming, in fact, not a little bit. I want them coming back brimming with confidence and saying, "Listen, boss, I've just worked a year with Brownie, and it's my time." I want them walking through the door at Celtic Park going, "It's my time, boss." Do you know what I mean? And that's what I want. That's what I want to happen to these young guys this year. And when it comes to the front line, I think that there's nobody in the front line in the B team. I mean, Daniel Cummins is going to be away. Joey Dawson, he's already gone. Joey Dawson, so I don't know why he's even still on the team. He's signed for another club already. But then when you look at the ones that are on loan, it's a big summer for them. Ben Summers, do you know, Adam Montgomery. He's been in and out the first team before. Joey Morrison, the goalkeeper, young Toby, the goalkeeper. I think that both of them will be released by Celtic. Young Lenny, I think he'll be released as well. Josh Clark, where does he now fit in? If we're going for the Aberdeen player, Josh Clark would have been thinking, do you know, I'm next in line to take that step up. But the manager obviously doesn't rate him, and the fact that we went, it's not confirmed yet. But the fact that we're going to get Ross Dohan in the door, who's a 27-year-old keeper, he came through the system at Celtic, says to me that Brendan Rodgers doesn't trust the young goalkeepers that are coming through. To have 3 young goalkeepers out on loan from potentially being in the B team, it's far too many keepers. And although Celtic are trying their best to bring through the next gen of player, just doesn't seem to be working. So the big one for watch out for this pre-season is Matthew Anderson, Adam Montgomery, and Ben Summers. Those are the 3 that you need to watch out for, because those are the ones that I think, if they are not going to get into the first team, I think Adam Montgomery might. But if they're put out on loan again, they're never going to make it at Celtic. And those are guys that have came through the system. They weren't really bought in. But then when Francis Turley and all the rest of it, you know, it's a massive summer for these guys. That would be Dane Murray. Yeah, Brendan's back from Spain. Might get a bit more movement. Yeah, it's looking like he is. Dane Murray wasn't brought in as one for the future. He came through the ranks. Yeah, I know that, but we're talking about the ones that came in. Monty's up in Crail this morning. Fantastic part of the world. When you look at the players that have been brought in as one for the future, and if you look at the ones that have came through the ranks, it's the ones that come through the ranks that tend to leave for nothing, because they don't believe. You know, the ones that are brought in as the next big thing tend not to make it. With all the big headlines, the ones that come through the systems, the Rocco Vata of the world, the Ben Dokes, those are the ones who don't believe that their future's at Celtic. They don't believe that they're going to get into the first team. They've got agents in their ear going, I can get you more money somewhere else. You don't need to stay at Celtic. So there you go. So with that being said, it is a fantastic news morning this morning, so make sure you share this video out. Some fantastic early news. The deal has been done according to Sky News. Celtic agreed a fee of 1.7 million for attacker Benji, and I've got to say, stats look good. It looks as if he's just came onto a game at the right time for him personally, the fact that he was coming into the last 6 months of his contract. So my point by is we have brought players in from England and lower leagues, and they stay in the B team until the contract. Yeah, there is loads. There is a lot of players that just haven't made the step up. Now, is that down to the recruitment team seeing potential? For me, there has to be something wrong with the scouting system at that level to bring in a level of players and them just not being good enough. Do you know, it's Brendan Rodgers. We could go back to the Glasgow Derby game for the B team towards the end of last season, and both John Kennedy and Brendan Rodgers took in the game. And when you seen them on Celtic television, they looked bored. They didn't look excited at all. After the game, they said, look, the standard of both teams are just, it's not there. It's not there. Do you know? And then you look back, you look to the interview that Neil Lennon did just a couple of weeks ago, when he was talking about James Forrest and some of the younger guys coming through at that time, when him and Peter Lawwell went to a youth game, and James Forrest was knocking on the door to get into the team. You know, and they said then, and it was like, we've got some cracking players coming through. But they're not saying that now. They're not saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like he says, Baz, the players that have been signed for and lined up, if you look how they play, they put crosses into the box, which we've lacked. Yep. Yeah, well, we've said that. I think that Adam Ida will be on fire. But with that being said, Adam Ida's not going to be the first choice striker next season. It's going to be Dyson Maeda. If we're about to sign this young guy for Fulham at the same time, where does it leave Johnny Kenny? Brendan Rodgers did say towards the end of last season that we've got discussions going on, myself and the training staff, whether to put Johnny Kenny back out on loan to a team at a higher level. Although he done fantastically well in Ireland, Johnny Kenny is a player for the future. He's a player that Celtic want to see getting better. Can he get enough game time at Celtic? Not if you're going to have Dyson Maeda play through the middle as your main striker, and then Adam Ida as backup. And then if you're bringing in a young Fulham guy who's played more first team football at a higher level than Johnny Kenny, well, he kind of jumps up the pecking order. So Celtic I still think that Johnny Kenny will be put out on loan. He could be put out on loan to Neil Lennon. He could be put out on loan to another team. You don't know. Anyway, it is all about to kick off for Celtic. It is a fantastic news day. Youth players at Celtic are letting them down. Gus says, are the youth players at Celtic letting themselves down? Or are Celtic letting them down? I don't think Celtic are letting them down. When you look at the players, Gus, that have left, it's been for financial reasons. It's been purely for money. Brendan Rodgers spoke over a year ago when he was talking about certain Celtic players leaving, and he said, look, some of these players think that they should be on more money that they're on. Some of these players think they should be walking straight into the first team and playing first team football. Some of these players, and Brendan Rodgers' exact words were, I've coached enough and I've brought enough young players through into first teams throughout my career. The modern day player does not believe me when I say that he has to go through a football education. Yet, when they leave Celtic, they're not kept in the first team. They're put out on loan to other clubs. So the only reason that they really moved was for a financial basis. Given a young player coming through the system at Celtic, taking them from $2,000 a month to then putting them on $5,000 a week, $20,000 a month, and those young players' agents are saying, nah, we can get you more. I'll take care of you, son. It's all about money. Do you know, it's not about, don't listen to that, don't listen to Brendan, I can get you more money. You know, managers are managers. Fucking like this in his ear, because he's wanting his cut. You know, he's sitting like that. He's sitting seeing readies. He's sitting seeing pound signs, and that's what lets the younger players down at Celtic. How many of the younger players? I mean, even Ben Doak. Ben Doak was meant to be the next big thing, and he's not done anything since he left Celtic. Rocco Vata, done nothing. You could still look at the players that were the next big thing to come through in Celtic, and Brendan Rodgers saying, look, you have to go through your football education. Look at players that did do it. Look at players that have came through the system. There's lots of players at Celtic right now that have came through the system, so it proves that it can work. But there's not. But the younger player says, well, I don't want to be a Tony Ralston. I don't want to be sitting on the bench every week. I'm better than that. Well, if you're better than that, do your talking on the pitch. Do you know? So, anyway, that's it. Paul Bell says he thinks that Brendan Rodgers is letting the youth players down. But Paul, I will. Who do you leave out? Let's look back to last season. Let's look back to the Falkirk game last season, where Brendan Rodgers gave the players a chance. Let me just get this up. Where was it? September 24. Right, let's go back to the team that day. The lineup that day, and this is for people that say that squad players don't get their chance. The team that day was Schmeichel, Ralston, Welsh, Trusty, Alex Baye at the back. Midfield, Paulo Bernardo, Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate. Up front, Louis Palma, Adam Ida and James Forrest. On paper, that team should have wiped the floor with Falkirk. Ultimately it did in the end. Because Lewis Palmer got 10 off, Rio Hatate got 10 off, Alex Baye got 10 off, and Stephen Welsh got 10 off, and James Forrest also got taken off. But what happened in that game? Well, although we won it, with 11 minutes up, Falkirk score first at Celtic Park to go 1-0 up in 11 minutes. 22 minutes, Paulo Bernardo scores for Celtic. Just before the stroke of half time, Falkirk score again. Celtic go in at half time 2-1 down to Falkirk with that team. Brendan Rodgers made the changes, said to these players that are on the sideline, This is your chance. You're getting the cup games. Go for it, lads. Right, just go and wipe the floor with this lot. Instead, at half time, he makes a load of substitutions just after half time. Arne Engels comes on for Rio Hatate. Yang comes on for Louis Palma. You're now thinking, my God. James Forrest comes off for Nico Kuhn. Greg Taylor comes in for Alex Bailly. And then Adam Ida scores on the 70th minute. And then it's good night Falkirk after that. Adam Ida scores again 2 minutes later. And then that's it. It's one-way traffic. And then, Celtic win the game. But people saying that Brendan Rodgers doesn't give people a chance. Well, he did in that game. And Brendan Rodgers said after that game, I think I made too many changes. It's on my head at half time, that result. I give the players a chance, and they didn't rise to the occasion. On paper, that team should have wiped the floor with Falkirk the first half, but he had to bring in the players that pretty much were first team choice. When it comes to cup games, your manager wants your players that are on the bench every week. When it comes to cup games, you see it down in England, and Celtic have done it before. You want these players to come on, and I've been to worse games than Falkirk. Yeah, I've been to worse games than Falkirk. That Falkirk game as well. Trust me, over the years. When you want your players that are on the periphery to have a good run in the cup. Do you know what I mean? You want your second choice goalkeeper to be playing in that. You get a good run in the cup, and it's like, yeah, they're ready. Those players are ready. So the manager could sit at the side, and him and John Kennedy can go, yeah, we're in a good place. Do you know, it's the cup. It's all to play for. One-off games. These players are ready to step up in the league. And last season, it just wasn't it. But anyway, it wasn't to be for Falkirk that day, thank goodness for us. It's going to be interesting to see how Falkirk fare this season with an ex-Celtic player. Well, and that's one game to watch out for, because I'm going to say it, Scott Bain will have a lot to prove when he comes back to Celtic Park. Not only has he stole the dugouts, not only has he taken the dugout from Celtic Park and taken it to his garden and launched it in the back of his garden and went, that's my seat, I'm keeping that. Let's get you. Then you grow up, you're like, there's your old man's seat, and it's like you don't sit in that seat because it's your old man's seat. He's got the dugout in his garden, thinking that. But anyway, morning to Stephen Johnson, morning to Paul Baird. How many youth players started this game? There's not many youth players, but anyway, it's besides the point. The breaking news this morning has been so far that Celtic have just announced. Oh my God! Oh. Can't believe this. Celtic have just announced more merchandise. Yes. No signings this morning, but you can pre-order the new Celtic FC Adidas training range. You can pre-order it now. Gives you money. Brand new men's training kit. New tracky top, new polo top. Polo top looks nice, a nice colour of the green. Now let's view it all. Nice grey tracky. It's like a woman's tracky. That's a nice wee shorts in that. Oh, the good old black one. Black shorts are back. Black training top. Oh Jesus, that's old ones. The new training gear starts at 45 quid a t-shirt. 45. The tracky top is £60. The polo top, the mint green polo top is 40 quid. The grey Adidas training jersey is 45 quid. The mint lime green training top is 65 quid. The grey tracksuit is 65, and then the dark green training polo top. That's a nice polo top, actually. I'll buy that. I fucking dread my next trip back to Scotland. God, it's going to cost me a fortune. 40 quid for that. So that's the new additions. There's new shorts. There's a couple of other training top. 80 quid for a mint green all-weather jacket. 80 quid. There you go. Celtic just milking it with Adidas. And then there's the black range. So that's the breaking news this morning. Celtic have brought out more merchandise, more merch. I'll give you the link in the chat for anybody that wants to go and see it after this. So that's the breaking news this morning. Can't believe that people are already moaning about the price of this guy who was signed. Apparently he must be shitting on the bench warmer at the price or fans. Michel, he had 6 months left to go on his contract. He was valued at over £6 million a couple of seasons ago. Celtic have done a fantastic piece of business as far as I'm concerned, getting in this Swedish guy before his contract ran out. He's a player that would have been in demand this summer, and the fact that Celtic have agreed terms with him and got it done this early in June is a fantastic piece of business. Before the ball's even kicked, we'll probably spend £200-300 on football merchandise. Lanky, I did say it. I did say that. But anyway, Bain will have his best game against us. Yeah, he will. But that is the Celtic news this morning. There's lots of breaking Celtic news. The big bit of breaking Celtic news this morning was obviously the fact that Celtic have brought out a brand new training kit and new merchandise, a bucket load. They've just come in the room and went, buy. And then they're going to come out tomorrow with a new front Swedish player that plays on the left, he plays on the right, and he makes Nakamura look like shite. I can't say that. But anyway, and then a young lad that is coming in from Morton, he looks as if he's going to be going out on loan. It's been a busy old day for Celtic in the last 24 hours, hasn't it? Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic morning. Moravchik, 300 grand. Yeah, he was. Didi Argat, 50 grand. I remember a wee Swedish guy that cost 650 grand or something. Was it 550, 650? A little Swedish guy. Anyway, Gus Fitzsimmons got the all clear from the lump down below. Brilliant news, Gus. Absolutely brilliant news. Guys, get checked out. I get blood tests and all the normal stuff done when you hit 50-year-old. Get yourself tested, because you know, a little blood test can save your life, and it is as simple as that. A little blood test, a little shit test, a little pee test at your ages, because I know there's a lot of older guys on this channel. Get yourself checked out, and my dad done it, and it saved him. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, and that's brilliant news, Gus. Absolutely brilliant news. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. I'm buzzing this morning with that news. Absolutely great. Can't wait to buy that new merchandise.